There's a future to making money on YouTube that few people see coming. And contrary to what you might think, it does not require getting more views on your videos or publishing even more content. I've spent the last 13 years running my own businesses and I've noticed a few patterns. Here's the truth. Making money is a lot easier than you might think. And through this free course, I'm going to reveal everything that you need to know. Most creators think they just need to get more views on their videos, but that's the wrong approach to take, and I'm going to explain exactly why. See, if you're trying to get more views, people are trying to make money through AdSense or sponsorships. Now, at first that sounds great, making money just by having views on your videos. But the problem is it's completely inconsistent, and whether it's a small creator or a massive creator, they still get these ups and downs where the income level changes month in, month out, and you can't guarantee how much money they're going to be making that next month. And I know you might be thinking, how can I talk about that subject? But luckily there was a guy called CoffeeZilla on YouTube who has 3.2 million subscribers. He posted this video recently and explained that entire problem in detail. That even for a channel with 3.2 million subscribers, he was still struggling to make a living because he had a team to hire, he had editors, script writers, assistants, and he had all these people that would cost money. Now, what that meant is he had to be constantly making content. Every month he had to put out more and more and more content just to be able to make enough cash to pay for the business. But then when he swapped to a different model, when he started monetizing outside of AdSense, he was actually able to build a sustainable income that allowed him to be able to keep the business going and produce a lot less videos. This entire Notion template here, this entire page that we're going through, will be available to download completely for free, so you won't need to make notes. You can get access to this entire page with all of the worksheets and examples and everything contained in it. That's over on my website at paulrichardson.me/course. I will also link that down below, either in the video description or in a pinned comment. See, what happens when you start to get off the AdSense roller coaster, when you stop trying to chase those views, you're able to build sustainable income that can increase month in, month out by using clever strategies. And this workshop is going to get into that. I'm going to be talking about how people can actually make money through YouTube and why I think this is the future for using YouTube like a business, being able to use it and actually make a real sustainable income from it. So I'm going to ask you a question. What do McDonald's and YouTube both have in common? There's a really interesting story here that's going to explain something really important. When McDonald's first opened, it was just one restaurant, just like any normal other restaurant that you might go and find. They'd be making burgers and fries, and they would be restricted by how many burgers they can make a day, given on how fast the staff can work, how many people come in and order. And this is the same for any normal restaurant. You get limited at some point by how much output you can actually make, how much you can sell. And it's the same with YouTube. We're restricted by trying to constantly chase those views. A guy called Ray Kroc came along and he realised something really clever about McDonald's, that they could just systemize everything. They could make the burgers in the exact same way every single time. They could set up the kitchen in a certain way to maximise efficiency. And what this did is it meant they could get loads more burgers out of the door, they could sell a lot more in that same place, they could make things a lot faster, which is where fast food came from, because now the burgers were cooked in a few minutes rather than 20-30 minutes, and they were able to put all this down into a playbook, which was literally like a Bible of McDonald's. How to run a restaurant, how to wipe the tables, how to set up the cashier desk, how to do everything. And then they franchised that solution. So they just took it out and they opened more restaurants all around the country. And what this did is it gave them leverage, because now they weren't restricted by how many burgers one McDonald's could make, because there was loads of McDonald's all around the country. And I don't think you need me to tell you how much of a phenomenon that's become, how it's this global business purely because they figured out how to systemize and make things repeatable again and again. Now, if you look at YouTube, there's a bit of a problem with creators. You're always restricted by how much content you can get out of the door. You'll be restricted by how many videos you can edit, how long they take to script write, how long they take to film. All these things just take a certain amount of time, and you're going to have a certain number of videos that you can do. So if you try to copy McDonald's, instead of having one business, you could be multiplying it. But that doesn't necessarily work, because if you try to have 4 channels, then you're just going to be putting out a quarter of the videos in each one. You can't just suddenly make your output 4 times higher by having 4 channels. It doesn't work like that. So instead, what you need to be doing is thinking about it as input and output. So if you put time and energy into a task, you get something in return. So in the case of YouTube, you put time and energy in and you get a video created at the end. Now, one way to scale it would be to get more team members in. So instead of just having your input and your output, you've now got multiple people all putting their time and energy into that same thing. And that would look something more like this. However, the problem with that is that as you introduce more people into the machine, things get more complicated. And again, you don't have to take my word for this. There was a guy who recently posted a video. He's got nearly 4 million subscribers, and he talked about having this team and how it was complicated and sucked all of his time away and energy away trying to manage people and trying to keep the business going. And it's a problem that people really do struggle with. So instead of having the input and the output one by one, I've got a better solution. Imagine that you ran a small bakery and you had a little oven there and you could cook 1 loaf of bread at a time. One way to get more loaves of bread out the door would be to hire more people and buy more ovens. But like I said, that will make things more complex. There's a lot more to manage. So instead, how about you just buy a bigger oven? And instead of putting 1 loaf in the oven at the same time, you can now put 10 loaves in the oven at the exact same time. So your output isn't 1 loaf, it's 10 loaves, and you've got 10 times the amount of output for the same amount of work. You've not had to really do any extra work at all, but you've got a bit far bigger output at the end. But what if, instead of having 10 loaves come out, you could have 30 or 50. What if you refined the business along the way? Maybe you got better at making the loaves so you could make them in half the time. Perhaps you got better at selling them so you could sell twice as many. There will be little things that you could do in the business that will make these big changes over time. And that's what we want to focus on with YouTube. We don't want to be thinking about how do we just get more views on the next video. We want to be thinking about how do we do things that will allow us to grow sustainably over a long period of time. So this free course is broken down into 3 separate parts. We've got plan, prepare, and execute. Most people try and skip the planning stage. But here's the thing, if you do, there's a high chance you will fail. So recently I've been watching this creator blow up on YouTube. Over the course of about 4 months, he's managed to get 50,000 subscribers. And at first you'll think, great, that must mean he's making good money off YouTube and he's going to be able to monetize his audience. So he did what most creators do. He put together an online course and started trying to sell it to his audience. But there was a bit of a problem. All of his videos were edited in this really fast, quick, over-the-top style, and that kind of style attracts a younger crowd, likely teenagers and people in that age group. And when he tried to sell his course, it was just too expensive for teenagers. Nobody had the money for it, and after a few weeks of selling it, he pulled the course off the market. He just stopped doing it. So all that time and energy he put into making this course, into building this audience, just wasn't working because he was trying to sell stuff to the wrong audience. And that was because he hadn't planned in advance. He hadn't looked at it and thought, what kind of people are likely to buy a course? Who should I be selling to? And how do I put all of this together? But fortunately, with this course, you will learn how to avoid all of those problems. So if you ever think about anything that you have ever bought, it was always to solve a problem. People buy things for a solution. They want the solution to the problem. You're hungry, you buy food. Your car needs to be fixed. You pay for the mechanic to do it. You want to lose some weight. You'll pay for a personal trainer, or maybe you'll pay for a recipe book, or maybe you'll pay for someone to create you a workout plan. There's tons of different solutions to that problem. Now, we always want to be thinking about problem solution because it's just this cycle that everyone's constantly going through, where they have a problem and then they will spend money to try and fix that problem. But there's a problem with that. You could have the best solution in the world, but if nobody can see it, you're not going to make any sales. If people don't know that it exists, how on earth are they going to buy your solution? So what we need to do is get more attention on that solution. We need to make it visible to more people. And that's always done through marketing. Marketing is just the process of letting the world know that your solution exists. It's really that simple. And what we want to be doing is using YouTube as our source of attention. If you think about it, people are coming to a YouTube channel and are watching your videos. They know that you exist. If they're coming back and watching more videos, they like you, they like what you're talking about, they like the content. And that's what marketing tries to do. When somebody puts an ad on TV, they're trying to build up that trust with you. They're trying to convince you that you should buy that thing. So if we use YouTube as our marketing tool, we're able to solve the problem. We're able to get attention on our solutions. See, a few years ago, I tried to sell a course to photographers. I built up a small audience, built up an email list, had a Facebook group and a Facebook page, and I was trying to sell them a course on how to master your camera settings. So I did what a lot of people do, and I went out, spent months building this course, putting all the ideas together, trying to make the best possible course. And then when I put it online, nobody bought it. People just weren't that excited about trying to conquer the camera settings. It just wasn't that interesting of a topic. And that's because I got the order wrong. I tried to execute on building a course before I really understood the audience and what they want. And I don't want you to be making that same mistake. So we're going to have systems in place in this course to make sure that will not happen to you. But I'll get into those a little bit later. What we're going to be doing is teaching an online workshop to people that solves one specific problem. It's a problem that you would be able to solve in a few hours and something that people actually need to fix in their lives. And don't worry, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do all that, how to set it all up, how to mind read your audience very soon. The beautiful part of doing an online course is it's quick to set up. We can put it together in a few days. We don't have to spend months building this course. We just spend a little bit of time setting up some emails, doing some planning, and then we're able to put this workshop together very, very quickly. We can also pre-sell it. So we can get people to give us their money before the workshop even exists. See, when I made my course, I spent months creating the course and then nobody wanted it. Whereas what we do now is we say, I've got this thing available for sale. If you would like a copy of it, you can pre-order it here. The workshop will be going live whenever it is. And the beautiful part of that is that maybe you'll get a load of people raising their hand and say, yep, I need this, I'm in. And in which case you know that you can put the time and energy into actually making the workshop. Or if nobody raises their hand, you just start again at the beginning. You just come up with another workshop idea and see if people prefer that instead. And this workshop will be designed to solve one specific problem that our audience has. We want to be getting people results, because if you get them results, they will want to come back again and again and again. See, you probably bought online courses before and they were useless. They didn't get you any results, and after that you feel a bit disheartened. You don't want to buy that creative stuff ever again. Whereas if you bought a course and it did get you results, you're much more likely to buy everything that that creator ever makes. And we also get to learn more about our audience. And this is so key, because when you're actually running an online workshop with people, you will learn about their problems. You'll learn about what points are easy in this workshop, what bits are they struggling with more, where could you make the content a bit better, what would be good to offer them in the future. And by spending that time with the audience, you'll know exactly what kind of products you can sell afterwards. I'll get into that in a little bit later. And what we do with the workshop is we sell that live package, so people can come with us, sit down live over Zoom or whatever platform and go through the workshop with us. Then we record the workshop at the same time, and finally we can take that and then sell it again and again and again, because now you've got an asset in the business. You've got something that you can just take and sell it again and again and again. Because if 10 people come onto your live workshop, that means you can sell it to 1,000 more people. Because if you can get 10 people to sign up to your online workshop, when you've got that recording available, you can keep selling it for months. Maybe you'll get 100 people or 1,000 people will buy it. Or hell, even more if you've got a large audience. And I know what you might be thinking. What about competition? But here's the thing about business. Competition doesn't really matter. It's just a sign of a healthy and active market. It's a sign that people need solutions to this problem and that they haven't actually found the right solution yet. For example, if everybody could cook how they wanted, there wouldn't be cookery books anymore. There wouldn't be cookery courses. The whole market would just get wiped out. So the fact that people still sell cookery books and courses and workshops proves that there is a demand for cookery books and workshops and courses. That's all there is to it. It doesn't matter if there's competition. It just becomes irrelevant. Or you might think, what about selling other things? Do I have to sell an online workshop? There's plenty of things that you can sell, and plenty of things that I would recommend selling in the long run. But if this is your first rodeo, if this is the first time you've ever done this before, you don't want to try and start selling all these other products. You know, ebooks, courses, community, digital downloads. All these things are great, but the problem is, to build these things, you really need to know your audience and what they need, what they desire, what they want, what problems they have. And by teaching this online workshop, you'll actually learn those things. The alternative to doing an online workshop would be one-to-one work, coaching, freelancing, things of that nature. And that is also a really, really good way to get to know your audience. This entire process will still work if you're considering selling one-to-one stuff. Now, the whole point of this is we want to build leverage. We want to build something that we can be selling again and again and again. By doing that workshop once live and then recording it, we have that asset. So at first, you will start selling, and let's say we sell 10 units and then we've got this little white block down here. But once it's recorded, we can just keep putting it out to our audience over time, and then we can start getting something like that, where it just builds up over time. It doesn't take you more energy to keep selling it. Once you've done that initial input and built the workshop, your output scales massively. And what you could then do is figure out what other courses people need, what other products do people want to buy. And instead of having a one pyramid, you'll now have multiple pyramids. And we have this endless cycle with problems and solutions. People always have problems, always. They never go away. And you can keep coming up with solutions to help. You know, for example, you're watching this, so I'm guessing you're probably going to be a YouTuber. So you think about all the problems for creating a YouTube video. When you're starting out, you have to figure out how to create ideas. Then you need to figure out, how do you film videos? How do you edit videos? How do you write scripts? How do you do titles, thumbnails? All those different things. Each one of those is a problem. And many of those will have multiple steps inside it. You know, if you wanted to learn edit videos, what software do I use? How do I use it? What kind of file format do I need? What kind of file format do I export to upload to YouTube? All those different things are problems that somebody needed to solve at some point. And your audience will have problems that you can keep solving with different products and services. So I know it's all good for me just to sit here and talk about these things, but I've got some examples of creators who were doing things exactly like this. And how much money do you think you could make with 250,000 subscribers? Or how about 10,000 subscribers? Heck, I know a channel with 2,000 subscribers. How much money do you think they could be making each month? Because the truth will probably surprise you. See, I know the person with a small channel in the crypto niche. He's got just about 2,000 subscribers. On the back end, he has a membership talking about crypto stuff, and he pulls in about $3,000 every single month, and it's only going to grow from there. Or we have Sarah Renee Clark. She's making $2 million a year on 250,000 subscribers. She did a talk at Vid Summit this year. The source is there, so you can go fact check me if you don't believe me. But if you look at the differences here in how much money she was making from YouTube ad revenue, so the numbers in the purple colour of ad revenue, versus how much she made from selling digital products, every single month the difference is ridiculous. Have Sam P. Dunn making $10,000 a month selling a course on video editing. Again, look that up on Twitter. Or Thomas Frank makes $130,000 a month selling Notion templates. And like I said before, we start off by having a workshop, and then once that workshop is finished, it becomes this digital asset we can sell again and again. And by hosting that workshop, we get to know our audience better so that we could then create digital products. You know, if you wanted to go and then create Notion templates or planners or workbooks, you would know what your audience actually needs and what they're willing to pay money for. But the truth about audiences is they can suck. And every audience is not created equal. I do have an in-depth article on my website here that goes into it, but these are the key points. So let's say you have an audience of 100 people, and you might think that it looks like that. But the thing is, it doesn't. Every audience is broken down into smaller groups. So you have these little groups of people. Each group might be based on their age, their gender, their likes, their dislikes, and they'll all be slightly different. So if you think about Mr. Beast, for example, his primary audience, the main people who watch his channel, I reckon are teenagers, probably people between about the ages of 12 to 17. Whereas I watch Mr. Beast videos, parents watch Mr. Beast videos with their kids. So these are different groups of people all within his same audience. But the problem is, all those groups of people aren't going to be equal. Some of them could be far more profitable than others. If you think about Mr. Beast's audience, again, the group with all the kids in might be the biggest audience, but if the kids have got no money, there'd be no point in trying to sell them something. You'd be better off targeting it towards the parents or a different group of people. So what we'll have to do is we'll need to figure out what is the most profitable group within your audience. But don't worry, we will explain how to do it. So a real world example here, I was talking to a creator recently who has about 1 million subscribers, and he was going through the problems with me saying, we want to start selling some stuff to our audience, but we're not sure who do we sell to. We've got these two distinct groups. Group A was between 13 and 22, not wealthy, have a confidence problem, but they are not motivated to fix it. Now he said, we have a second group, Group B. They are 20 to 30 years old, they have money, they want to improve their life, but this size of this group is much smaller. And he said, which one do we target? Who do we start selling to? And I was like, it's obvious, Group B, because you want to be looking for people that have a problem, know they have a problem, want to fix that problem, and have the money to do so. But don't worry, we will get into that. We'll figure out how to find that profitable audience. See, the simple trick to selling more is just picking that right audience off the get-go. And the way to do that is to figure out what those different groups of people are in your audience and then pick the right one. I don't care if you've got 500 subscribers or 5 million subscribers. This exercise is so important, and you really need to do it. And I've listed out a load of questions here broken up into two sections. We have demographics and then we have psychographics. So what we want to do is think about these individual groups within our audience and start to list out what they would be like. So we give them a persona. We literally make an imaginary person in our mind and say that is our ideal audience member. That is the exact person we would want to target. Now, you might have multiple of these different groups in your audience, so you could run through this exercise a few times. You can use your channel analytics to start this off to get a good idea of age groups, genders, what kind of other videos they're watching, so you can build up a picture of them. But then go through these questions, literally write them answers all out. It might take you a little bit of time, but it's so worth doing it. And by the time you get to the end, what you will have is like a step-by-step breakdown of this imaginary character. And the reason you do that is because it helps you to get to know them and their problems, but it makes it so much easier to sell stuff. It makes it so much easier to come up with video ideas because you know what that person is like. You're not guessing anymore. You have this picture already built up. After demographics, we have psychographics. Now what you do here is imagine you are that person. You are your audience member. Put yourself in their shoes and run through this series of questions and answer them one by one. So what problems are you facing? Write every problem out, no matter how small. And for each problem, think about what else. So let's say for me, I don't know how to get enough subscribers on my channel. That's a problem. But what else? Well, I don't know how to keep my existing subscribers engaged. I don't know what kind of people I should be targeting, etc., etc. You can write out loads and loads of problems that that person might be struggling with. And of course, keep it related to your channel and the kind of content you do. You know, your ideal customer might be having relationship problems, but if your channel is about making shampoo at home, then the relationship problems aren't something that you would be able to help with. However, you would think about all the problems they might have surrounding that shampoo. Maybe they have dry, greasy hair. Maybe they're losing their hair. I don't know. I don't know anything about shampoo, but you get the picture. Once you have that, just keep going through these questions. What do you worry about? What keeps you up at night? What will happen in your life if you don't solve those problems? Go through those questions one by one, and again, the more time you spend on this, the better the answers you'll get. I'd even recommend doing it one day, coming back with a fresh mind and seeing if you have any extra insights to add. Preparation is the second phase of the workshop. There are a million possible problems that we could be fixing for our audience. You'll have come up with loads of them in that last step, and people will pay you to solve most of those problems. But the difference is how much will they pay you and how many people will pay you. Some problems are worth a lot more than other problems. For example, I'm not really too interested in having a cleaner to come clean my house. But if somebody said, I will do it for £3 a week, well, yeah, of course I'll pay for that. Like, why wouldn't I pay for that? But if it was £3,000 a week, hell no, I am not interested. So the size of the problem will dictate how much somebody is willing to pay for it. For example, if somebody said, I can help grow your YouTube channel by 1 million engaged and active subscribers in the next month. Now that would be worth a lot of money. You know, some people would happily pay tens, maybe even hundreds of thousands to solve that problem, because they know by having 1 million subscribers, that's a high value asset that can be used for a long time. It's worth a lot of money to some people. So for me, a few years ago, I was selling courses to photographers. I moved away from amateurs and actually started working with professional photographers because a lot of my background has been in professional photography. So, you know, I was trying to figure out what do people actually need? What do they want? What would they be willing to pay good money for? And, you know, so many courses I could teach. I could teach them how to light better, I could teach them how to edit their photos a bit more, but these things weren't burning pain points for people. They weren't willing to just be like, take my money, I need that right now. It just wasn't that interesting. But because I was a photographer, because I knew a lot of photographers, I knew that loads of people struggled with getting clients. So I was able to put together a membership with workshops and educational materials for helping photographers get paid clients. Because it was something that I'd struggled with in the past, I knew how to solve it, and I was able to help other people do the same thing. And the reason why I was able to do that is because I understood the market, I understood what they needed, and because I'd taken the steps to actually build something that people wanted. And that's what this module will be about. It will be figuring out how we build something that people actually really need and want. So the first thing we're going to be doing is mind reading our audience. And to do that, again, we want to be asking more questions. So these will be going into what sort of content resonates with your audience. What topics or content does your audience seem most interested in? So you could look at your analytics. What videos do better than other videos? Try and see if you can spot any trends. Try and look in the comments and see if people are asking the same sort of questions again and again and again. What questions do you get on your videos? Do these questions focus on specific topics or areas? Can you see a pattern between the kinds of things that people are asking? You could even look at other similar YouTubers to you. You could look at the sort of comments that people leave on their videos. You could see what kind of videos do really well for those people. So for example, with me, I did my research into other YouTube videos and I realised that a lot of people struggled with making money with YouTube. Smaller channels struggle trying to actually get the views, but bigger channels still struggle with consistent revenue. So I knew that a workshop about how to make money with it would be really useful. Again, we've got a few more questions here. Answerthepublic.com is a really fantastic website that you can use to see what kind of questions people ask in your audience. Then we need to figure out what kind of problems can we solve and what kind of solutions could we offer. So at this stage, we want to be thinking about all of the problems that we've listed out before and then translate those into solutions. So if we go back to the video editing example from earlier, let's say that the problem is they don't know how to edit videos. So I could do a 2-hour workshop as a beginner's guide to using Sony Vegas or Premiere Pro or whatever software. I could also offer a different workshop. I could do a 2-hour advanced workshop that's tailored to people with a bit more skill. I could do a 2-hour workshop on doing fancy titles for your video, on how to edit for retention, how to edit a really killer intro. Tons and tons of things that you could be coming up with. So again, spend some time on this, because if you don't, you'll probably pick the wrong product and not get many sales. The truth is that as you spend more time on these things, you really start to delve into the minds of people and you really figure out what problems they have and what solutions you can offer. So once you have that, we want to be refining it down to your favourite 3 ideas. With that, we then can go through this checklist. So the first one is, can you point a finger at that problem? I like solving problems that you can literally see, feel, touch, that are easy to describe. For example, you can point a finger at a burned cake. You can point a finger at a loaf of bread that didn't come out of the oven right. But you can't point a finger at, are you frustrated with your cooking? That's like a metaphorical concept that doesn't technically exist in the real world. So we want things that we can point our finger at. Making money is something that you could still point your finger at. Does it focus on one specific problem and solution? And the more specific, the better. At first, you might be trying to think about, how can I solve a problem that everybody in my audience has? But the truth of the matter is, only a portion of your audience will ever be interested in fixing that problem. You don't try and make something for everyone, you make something for a really specific group of people. If we were thinking about how to grow on YouTube, if somebody said, I'm going to do a workshop that will show you how to go from 0 to 1,000 subscribers in the next 3 months, that is very, very specific. And it's targeted at a specific group of people, which is small YouTubers, and it gives them an outcome. So is my solution unique? Is this something that other people aren't offering that same solution for? Does it stand out from what other people are doing? Is my solution simple? Do many people have this problem? Obviously, in the grand scheme of things, you'll need a lot of people in the world who have that problem to make it profitable. If we picked a problem like how to learn 18th century French grammar, I don't know, I'm trying to freeball it here, but something really specific, there's probably a chance that not many people are interested in that. But if it was a workshop on how to improve your French grammar so you can learn the language quicker, that would appeal to a lot more people. Will they get results by the end of the workshop? This is key. You want to have like a workshop that's a few hours long, but the person can get results by the end. They don't need to be big, life-changing results. It just needs to be a result. They need to be able to take that knowledge away from the workshop, implement it, and actually get results and changes. Is it desirable? Do they want it, not just need it? So there's a difference between want and a need. You could need to do your accounting this year, but you don't want to. There's nothing sexy about going and buying a course on how to do your accounting systems at home. It's just not something that people would want. And finally, can it be taught in a 2-hour workshop? rather than thinking about trying to solve every problem that someone has, if you're getting really specific, can you solve that specific problem in a 2-hour workshop? Next, we want to be making it 1,000 times easier to sell. And this comes down to how we position an offer. So if you've ever heard about bulletproof coffee, it is essentially putting butter into coffee, which by itself doesn't sound that interesting. It's not that exciting. But if you just changed how you positioned it, so instead it was lose weight by eating fatty foods that you love, that sounds so much more interesting. That sounds like a hell yeah, I will buy that thing right now. It is a lot more exciting. So we can use AI to help this. So we can take our workshop idea and then we can run it through here. I've put a little script down, click on the generate button, and it would help you to come up with some different takes you could take on it, different ways of positioning that same workshop. Generally with AI, the results are pretty good. They're not perfect, so I'd recommend taking anything that AI spits out and still tweaking it a bit. You will need to just double check them and read through it a little bit. Can you make the workshop sound simple? Does it promise results quickly? So sometimes people will add in a time factor. So they would say, I'm going to do a workshop on sewing skills for beginners and teach you how to make your first hat in 2 hours. Okay, that was knitting, not sewing, but you get the idea. You could add like a time frame into your actual workshop idea, how you pitch it to people. Next, if you want to get results faster with this, have a look at my website, paulrichardson.me, and on there there'll be information about how you can actually get results quicker. Either reach out to me on the contact form, or there might be something else on the website about it. And if you want access to this entire page with all of the templates, all of the images, all of the examples, everything, go to the website, paulrichardson.me/course, and you can download everything for free. Doesn't cost anything. Then we want to guarantee that the workshop will sell. So like I said earlier, the last thing you want to do is put something together, put all this time and energy into it, and nobody buys it. It's just frustrating. So what we do is we do as little work in advance and then pre-sell it. So we say to people, I'm doing this workshop next week, live, this is how much it'll be, this is what you'll get. And then we see if people sign up. You know, if you get 1 or 2 people signing up, maybe you would want to just cancel the workshop and refund them both. But maybe you could get dozens of people. Or if you've got a big audience, what happens if you get 100 people sign up? You've already sold the idea, and then you can go away and actually create the damn thing, which we do in the next section called execute. The way to pre-sell it is to just put the offer in front of your audience. So you can put it on a community post on your channel. If you have other social medias with that same audience in, you could put up a post. I've put a little example down here of what you could say. I'd write this in your own words though, of course. So I might create a paid workshop on ABC. Would anyone be interested? And just try and gauge your audience's reaction. Some people will be like, hell yeah, I'm in, let me know. You could also put it on your email list. If you have one there, you could send out an email and say the exact same thing, see if people are interested. If you don't get any bites, it's not necessarily a bad idea. It might be how you positioned it. It might just be that you need to come up with a more interesting way of saying it. And I will forewarn you, but you might likely get trolls on your post saying, oh, you're a sellout, I can't believe you're doing this, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, screw them. Like, if you're putting all this time and energy into creating content for people for nothing, and then you offer a solution to a problem they have for money, it's not a bad thing. Businesses exist all around the world. You know, the whole world operates on business. Everything works because of businesses. You selling something to your audience, if you get the odd troll, don't worry about it. There will be other people in there who will support you through. There'll be people who are willing to buy your thing, so just ignore any of those trolls. Finally, we're going to get into the execute section of the workshop. The thing about execution is if you spend too long in the planning and preparation stages without executing, you will get absolutely nowhere. You don't gain anything by spending all that time stuck in planning and preparation. Yes, you need to do those things, but executing is why we get results. That's why sometimes you see people who seem miles ahead, and the only reason why is just because they execute constantly. They're constantly trying things out. They're constantly doing things. You know, they're constantly testing the waters and seeing what works. Back in 2011, I read the book The 4-Hour Workweek by Timothy Ferriss, and one of my all-time favourites. But at the time, I was thinking about getting a job. I'm fresh out of university, and I decided, you know what? I want to go on this entrepreneurial journey, do my own thing, run my own business instead. And for a few months through the summer, I was umming and ahhing with ideas. Had this big list on my wall of all the different businesses I could do, all the different things that I could offer, all the people that I could help, coming up with all these ideas. But at the same time, I was passionate about time-lapse photography. I was really interested in it. So in my free time, I'd just go out, capture time-lapse, and I put together a video about my home city of Manchester. And overnight, that video blew up and I had people contacting me for work. Heck, even one of my first clients was the BBC. And the reason why it worked was because I'd executed. I'd actually just done something and actually put my foot out the door. Instead of spending ages and months going around in circles about what kind of business should I start, what should I be doing, I actually just executed. I put something out into the world, and people then contacted me, and I actually built a business up around it. And I was doing that business for like the next 9-10 years, I think. And I was actually doing that business up until very recently, when I've started making the transition over to helping YouTubers. But with every workshop, if you get the structure wrong, people are going to drop out or they're not going to find value in it. Luckily for you though, I have the perfect structure. So we want to have the big promise of the workshop. So you think about what is the main thing that your workshop offers. You know, you're teaching them to solve a specific problem. Then we break that down into 3 chapters, much like I did with you here today. Each of those chapters then starts with a hook. So the chapter will start with a reason why this thing is important. Then you have a story. And then finally, you give them the solution. So the exact same structure that I've been using here with you today. So the hook is just a few sentences long and it's designed to grab the viewer's attention. The story will be 1 to 3 minutes and it's how you earned that thing or learned that thing. I've got a video here linked by a guy called Russell Brunson who talks about this. And then the solution is actually just break it down into multiple steps. So just come up with the things that they need to know, they need to do to be able to solve that problem. At the end of each chapter, allow time for a bit of a Q&A. And also when you're making your chapters, when you're structuring this workshop, think about, will your audience be able to understand all of the content? It's easy as an expert in a topic to forget that we were once a beginner and we know loads of things that our audience members might not understand. So you could always run the workshop by a friend or somebody else and see if they understand it. If you're nervous, I would recommend doing a test run of the workshop. You know, getting all the software going, getting everything live, literally running a live workshop, but just doing it to yourself or doing it to one friend, just to make sure that everything works and you won't have any failures on the big day. So I'm going to go through the rest of this chapter talking about how we put everything together. So the fastest way to start with a workshop, don't worry about the millions of possible softwares and things and options and everything that you could do. What I want to do is keep things simple. So I would recommend hosting it either on Zoom, Google Meets, or on Teams. Google Meet and Teams would be free. However, Zoom, you would probably need to pay for the paid plan. If you're doing some sort of presentation where you have slides on the screen, use Google Slides. You can get templates for free online that will make it look pretty, and you'll be able to pull it together really easily. Or if you wanted to do it like I have, I built this inside of Notion, and that was entirely free as well. To actually record the workshop so that we have a recording that we can sell later on, use a software called OBS. And again, test this in advance. Make sure you get it working and the recordings work. Perhaps even on the day, you could have a second person in the workshop also doing a recording just in case something happens to yours. For taking payments, again, millions of possible solutions out there. Some are better than others, but at this stage, do not overcomplicate things. Either use Gumroad, which I would recommend more, or Stripe. Now, Stripe has lower fees. It will cost you less money for each sale you make. Gumroad takes 10% of each sale. However, with Gumroad, we can also include a sales page. And that's basically like a load of text that will tell them what they get, what sort of things are included, why they should buy it. And having that sales page will make it far more likely that people will buy the thing. So what we lose in the percentage difference by using Gumroad over Stripe, we'll actually gain back by having more sales and more people in the workshop. I'm not going to get into sales pages here because that's a long topic. However, Gumroad does include a free resource on their website. It's like an hour-long tutorial about how to build out a good sales page. So check that out, linked there. The key to pricing your workshop, if you price it wrong, people aren't going to buy it. If you price it too high or too low. So it's about finding this right balance. And it will be defined by a few factors. Some audiences are willing to spend more money than other audiences. That's why we did the exercises earlier to see which audiences are more likely to be willing to pay for our solution, which audiences have a problem that is more needed to be solved. Like I said, the bigger the result, the more important the result is for that person, the more they will pay. The length of the workshop, how long it is, however, I will get into that in a minute, and I recommend keeping it around a 2-hour mark. So if you're unsure, keep it under $100 to make it easy. Lower prices are easier to sell. If it's under $50, people will just buy something, they'll see it and think, that sounds fun, why not? But the higher the price goes, the more people will start to think about it. If you walked into a shop and you were like, oh, I'm hungry, I'm going to buy a chocolate bar, and it was $1, you'd be like, cool, done, gone. If you walked into the shop and that same chocolate bar was $100, you'd be thinking, well, do I really want this chocolate bar? Is there a better chocolate bar? Should I go to another shop and buy one of theirs? It's not worth it as much. Now it starts going into your brain where you're thinking all these questions about whether you should buy it. So for me, I would recommend between $27 and $47 for the workshop, and I recommend keeping that workshop about 2 hours long. That is a good time to be able to get a result for people. It's a good amount of time where people don't have to take off like a whole day, and you'll be able to do the workshop without burning out or trying to produce hours and hours and hours and hours worth of content. So remember that here we are building an asset. We don't just want to be selling it once. Sure, in the beginning, we'll sell the live workshop and we'll get a few people signed up, but in the future, we can be selling it again and again and again and again. And I really believe this is the future for making money with YouTube. We're selling stuff that people actually want to buy. when it's something that people really want. People are willing to spend money on it. And over time, we can do more workshops. We can branch out and offer different kind of products. You know, once we understand our audience, we could be selling those ebooks or those memberships or higher priced courses. And we're able to build a real sustainable business from it. Again, if you want help implementing this system, check out my website, paulrichardson.me. And if you want access to this entire page for free, it's at paulrichardson.me/course. All available there, completely free. You can go in, get access to this whole template, all the images, all the notes, and everything. And finally, how the hell do we sell this thing? So now we have a sales page, we have Gumtree or Stripe set up where we can take payments. What I would be doing, once you have that validated idea, you know people want it, you built out your sales page, then you actually just go to the audience and say, I'm working on this thing, really excited to share it with you soon. So you'll be teasing it over the course of, say, a week. Every day, every few days, you'll be posting a little behind the scenes snippet. You know, really excited about this thing that's coming out soon. Really excited about this workshop that we're going to be hosting very soon. You can do that on your email list, community posts, or the social medias. You could even do it during one of your videos, you know, like having a little sponsored ad break just for you. So you could say something like, I'm running a workshop this weekend about ABC and it will help you to get XYZ result. If you are interested, click the link in the video description. So after you've been teasing it a little while, you will do that launch where you just tell people it's now available. You can book in. Here it is, this is when it is, this is how much it costs, and so on. And when would you host it? I recommend a week, maybe 2 weeks after you put up that sales post, you know, saying it's going to be available on X date. If it's like 3 months down the line, people are just going to think, well, I'll wait, I'll sign up later, I don't need to sign up now, and they just won't take action. But really, we want people to be taking action because we want people in our workshop so that we can make some good money, and then we have that asset that we can sell again and again and again. And like I said, it's about taking the asset, we sell it to our audience as a live workshop, deliver it once and record it, and then we can just keep selling it again and again and again and again. And because then we know our audience a bit better, we're able to do other products. And this just builds this exponential leverage where over time, as your library of things that you offer grows, you'll be able to make more and more and more money, even without having like a bigger and bigger audience. You'll be able to just keep figuring out what problems people have, how do you solve them? And people will thank you for it. They will be happy that you're helping them solve their problems. Finally, subscribe if you like this content. There's going to be more stuff like this coming out, and I will see you in the next video.